How's it going, everybody? This is Ed Clay with East Ivy Mansion, here with Alan Clark from LifeLens. And Alan is a brilliant photographer. We wanted to give you guys something, all of the people that entered, we wanted to kind of help you plan your wedding. We wanted to give you some pieces that would help you. It's difficult. It's complicated. A lot of people don't even know where to start. So we just kind of decided to do a little video series for you and introduce you to some of the vendors that are donating for this $100,000 Dream Wedding giveaway. They've agreed to be interviewed and go into detail about what they do. So Alan, how you doing?
Doing great, man. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about giving something to someone that just is worth so much.
We wanted to do this video to kind of help you figure out what the best way to decide a wedding photographer is. And I wanted to give you Alan's background a little bit, hear about his experiences as a photographer, talk a little bit about the different types of pricing that you might run into, and what you might get for those different prices. So Alan, tell us a little bit about what your experience as a photographer and the things that you've done and worked on over the years.
Well, I've been doing this for 20 years, and the big thing is, for me, is like for years and years and years in the commercial world, I've shot everything from magazines to album covers to you name it, I've done it, and I've been around the world to do it, and it's been an amazing ride. I think people a lot of times think that commercial photographers, and sometimes commercial photographers themselves, will put out that vibe of, well, I only do this, or I'm only an artist, or something like that. And I get asked, and have gotten asked over the years, time after time, summer after summer, to do weddings for friends or bands or things like that. And I had averaged about 5 usually a year over the last 20 years. And I think people assume that because you are either involved with art or you're a creative photographer or something like that, or commercial photographer, you don't do that type of stuff. And I did. I loved doing it. I loved my friends. I loved being a part of it. And last couple of years, I just decided to be partnered with a company that just is all about weddings and all about high-end fashion and style and just making somebody's day special.
And one of the interesting things about LifeLens photography, and I think this is fantastic, because when people think celebrity photographer, they think an exorbitant amount of money. And of course, if they're going for your largest services, they're going to be paying a premium for having the best. But at the same time, there's different types of pricing packages. And right now in Nashville, you can see packages running from photographers from anywhere from about $1,500 from a legitimate photographer, anywhere up to $10,000 for a wedding. What's your take on the pricing? What should people look for? Somebody's on a budget. They don't have $5,000. They don't have $7,500. They have $1,500 to spend on a photographer. What do they look for?
I'll tell you one thing that you need to look for, and the best thing actually, is to just obviously look at their portfolio, look at their website, look at the type of images they do, and go deep into that a little bit. Don't just do the surface splash page images, but go into maybe a wedding and then check in to see how deep they go and what they can offer you. If they're good with candids, if they're good with portraits, if they're good with environmental portraits, if they're good with capturing that moment and those types of things. The thing about wedding photography and commercial photography is that there is no standard price. There never has been. This is something that we've been talking about for years, and we can't fix prices. We're not a union. There's no way to really do that, and that's been the subject of much debated discussion over the years. Is just how do you price yourselves, and now, especially now, and after the economy hit like it did, it's really great to just think of what budget do we have, what kind of budgets are we looking at. And there are projects that I've worked on that are ridiculous, like advertising budgets. And then there are ones that a new band that just started, and then that's a different type of budget. And then you've got a couple just trying to take family photos, and that's a different type of budget there too. So to me, whatever rules were going to be in place have been kind of shattered by things that are like the economy and people loving to DIY, do it yourself, and things like that. It's just changed it. It's changed the way that we operate in our businesses over the last few years, and it's actually helped, I think, because people can give you exactly what they have, exactly what they know that they can afford, and what you can do for them.
Yeah, so, there is a price range difference, though, in some of the different photography. And, you and I had talked for a while. I had talked to Alan about a way to make photography more economical for some couples that might not have as much money. I was not raised with a ton of money. I couldn't have afforded, quite frankly, somebody like you to come in and shoot my wedding. But you have an interesting program at Lifelens where you do have some lower tier prices for with photographers that have been qualified by you, and that's a big difference. Talk about that. Talk about Lifelens photographers at the lower packages, and then we can get into some of the more detailed stuff that you do.
Right. So what we call this is investments a lot of times. We would call it different levels of investment. So one being silver, gold, platinum, things like that. That's kind of the upper end kind of echelon of some of the packaging and things like that. And then we also have a new thing that we just started called Lifelens Group, and these are partners that have partnered with us in Lifelens to offer services where it might just be a little more simple, like where it's not a 10-hour day and it's not I need a gallery, I need DVDs, I need archival images, I need a wedding book, I need this, I need that. So some of these things can be really involved, and some of them are just simple. Hey, we've got less than 50 people, we've got 100 people showing up for 3 hours someplace, and so we've got that kind of in place as well. That's something that's changed over the last 6 to 8 months because we want to try to make it available for everybody. It's just not fair to kind of be exclusive completely. I think there's something to be said for paying money and getting not just what you want but above what you want. There's also something when you've got a budget. I have a budget. I have literally only this amount. And so, you can't, I don't like excluding anyone from what I'm doing. I think that's kind of lame,
Right, and so, that's noble, of course. But for people who aren't on a tight budget, because there's different levels, per se. If someone wants to do a luxury wedding at East Ivy Mansion, per se, and they want the works, talk about that process from start to finish, the morning they come in to when the reception is done. What's the process for wedding photos? What's your staff going to do? What makes you different than everyone else?
I think the ability to try to just gel with the couple and not be so rigid sometimes on if it goes 30 minutes over, if it part of the wedding package doesn't include just this one thing. I think what we're trying to do is, honestly, we love to be paid to shoot. We don't want to get tons of money on the back end on prints or on this or that. I don't want to nickel and dime everybody to death. I just want to come to your big day. It's an important day, and I want to be there for that part of it. And I think we do a great job while we're there, and just get paid to shoot. That's such a different. I know that makes a lot of wedding photographers angry because they love to make the money on the back end, and some of them, it's a lot of work. Have you ever put together a wedding album before? It is a pain to put together a wedding album. It's really hard, and I commend those guys for doing it. I'm not sure I'm that guy, so they have a lot of options nowadays too, where brides can put together literally a coffee table book. They can just send the images in to a company, any company where they can afford, send it back, and that's one way to do it. There's another way to do it where you have the photographer and or company make it for you, and it's hours and hours of sorting and telling a story and all that type of stuff, and it's really involved. I mean, I've done it. It's been like where you take, a wedding and then you tell the story from front to back, and when you're finished, you're 10 hours into it, and it takes a long time to do it. So to me, I think the thing that I think we pride ourselves most on is just kind of a la carting some of these things, where they don't have to have just an exorbitant amount of anything. But if they want it, it's there. You can add to it. I mean, if you want a photo booth, or you want this, you want just a la carte that. And a lot of people are doing that these days. And I feel that brides love to do things themselves, and that's kind of the trend right now is to do it yourself. And so I think the ability to a la carte something gives you that power. If you want it, fine. If you don't, then just pay a smaller fee, not a substantial fee, and you're fine.
Well, you're a world-renowned photographer based out of Nashville, Tennessee. For those of you who don't know, Alan is known throughout the entire world, shooting some very famous people, presidents, Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks guy.
Yeah.
But talk about, not necessarily Julian Assange, but talk about all the people that you have shot. Talk about the presidents that you've shot. Talk about, tell your George Bush story. That's one of my favorite stories.
What's funny is the whole thing with George W. was that the imitation that Will Ferrell does of him, it could not be more accurate. It's just exactly pretty much like he does it. That's the funny part of it, is because you think of it as a joke, but he actually does talk like that. When he walks into the room, it was like a wall of energy. And you better hop on or that thing's going to go right over the top of you. And it was amazing. I remember I was pilfering through the camera bag, I was looking down, but when they say that you can feel a person enter the room before they enter the room, it was totally that. And then I picked up the camera, and then he walked into the room and just shouted at the top of his lungs, "Who's the man?" Just like that. And I kind of went like that, and I said, "I am, sir." And of course, I'm in the room with me is 12 Secret Service agents. I think there was 2 women Secret Service agents too. Total of about 10, 12 maybe, and then his personal attaché and a couple people from the event. And I said, "I am, sir." I said, "Come right over here and have a seat, Mr. President." And so he came over and sat down, and as he was walking over, he just said, "Let's get this party started." And just, again, shouting, and I was just like, what, it's so funny. You just don't expect it to be like what you think it's going to be, or you don't expect it to be the imitation of the imitation, but it was exactly like that.
So Alan, let's talk a little bit about your experience at East Ivy, because you have a very unique circumstance even, because Alan got married here. Tell us about getting married here at East Ivy Mansion.
This place is an oasis, and it was amazing to be married here. I didn't want to leave. We ended up going on vacation and honeymoon a week later to San Antonio and Austin, Texas, and I love love San Antonio and Austin. But actually, when we got back, we were like, "Man, I wish we could have stayed here the whole week," because this place has that feeling. It almost literally, it's hard to explain. When you get here, you'll see what we're talking about. It just has this thing that makes it isolated from everywhere. And when you step inside these gates, there's just a different feeling, and it's just this wonderful, magical place. You can't tell where you are, actually. It's almost like here, and just everything. There's literally an endless amount of locations that you could take pictures here, and that's just hard to come by. That is so hard to come by, because like a lot of locations, even the ones you spend big money on, you've got 12, you have 15. This place is almost endless. The angles are endless, and the place is just a wonderful place for this type of thing.
So there you have it, Alan Clark with Life Lens Photography, celebrity photographer.
And video. We do video too.
They do video, videography as well. Dylan's not here, but you guys will meet Dylan soon. He's going to give you guys some good advice on video. But check out Life Lens Photography. He's one of the people that's donating his time for this dream wedding. We really appreciate it. I really appreciate him. Alan, thank you.
Absolutely, man.